on the recommendation to consolidate Ardmore Elementary School. At this time, we will do roll call. If we could please advance the slide.
Jay Norris.
Christine Chu. Seema Sarafan.
Carolyn Watson.
Superintendent Art Jarvis.
Also online is Director Joyce Shuey. I don't know if we had a chance to have her unmute to hear her. Can I ask our board coordinator?
We need to click some buttons so that Joyce can turn on her microphone and camera.
She will not be joining on camera. She's okay. All right, so we will wait a second. Director Shuey, if you can hear me, if you can just announce yourself for roll call. We had
Yes,
some
Joyce.
technical.
Can you hear me? Joyce Shuey here.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Director Shuey. Vice President Shuey. Okay, at this time, I will lead the Pledge of Allegiance, and I will ask our superintendent to follow with the land acknowledgement. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could we please advance the slide to the land acknowledgement?
We acknowledge that we are on the indigenous land of the Coast Salish peoples who have reserved treaty rights to this land, specifically the Duwamish and Snoqualmie tribes. We thank these caretakers of this land who have lived and continue to live here since time immemorial. We reflect on the historic context that brings us to reside on this land and accept responsibility to interrupt erasure. We commit to an ongoing partnership with the Snoqualmie tribe as we listen to, learn from, and lead with their guidance. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jarvis. I'm going to give some parameters around our hearing, but before we do that, I know we're going to hear just very briefly from Director Shu regarding something connecting the last meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, President Sarvan. Thank you to everyone who has come out to share this experience, their experiences and inputs tonight. Community engagement and program and policy design and decision-making is something I've committed to promote so that together we can share our individual expertise to make the best decisions with and for all of our students. It is in this collaboration that we truly make progress on creating an equitable system that is relevant and accessible to the breadth of our students and families. Unfortunately, at a recent school board meeting, when I invited one of our dedicated community members to share additional thoughts on equity, I did just the opposite of what I intended. Monica Webster, a dedicated community volunteer in our district, had shared a unique perspective that evening on concerns about equity that were different from what others on the presenting panels had shared. And I wanted to make space for her perspectives to be heard and explored in greater depth. However, because she was the only Black woman on our panel of speakers, when I, as a white woman in my role, asked her specifically to speak on equity, I put her on the spot in a way that singled her out and that could have implied that her value was reduced to a very narrow topic. I did not intend to do that, and I am sorry that I made Monica uncomfortable and that I made others in our community feel less safe in engaging with our board and our district. I have apologized to Monica personally, and I took time to listen to her feedback and reflect on it. I also felt it was important to address this publicly because it impacts our community. and because I believe in transparency and accountability as part of building a respectful and trusting community. I am always learning, and moving forward, I will be more tuned in to the different ways that my communication can be received. I hope tonight that all of you will feel welcome to speak freely on your experiences, your concerns, and your ideas. I truly value all of them, and I know my colleagues do as well. Thank you for the time to share these thoughts and for coming out tonight to make our district a better place for all. Thank you, Director Serafin.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Chu. So we will now begin our hearing. The purpose of this special board meeting is to hold a hearing to take public testimony regarding the recommendation to consolidate Ardmore Elementary School with Bennett, Cherry Crest, and Sherwood Forest Elementary Schools. Public testimony should be specific to this particular recommendation. There are 2 additional hearings scheduled to take public testimony regarding the other 2 consolidation recommendations. Tonight's is regarding Ardmore. Anyone who wishes to give testimony during this hearing specific to the recommendation will be able to do so, either in person or online. I want to tell you a little bit about the rules around it. Each speaker will be given 2 minutes to testify. Speakers will only be allowed to testify once and will not be able to cede their time to others. If you are in person and you wish to testify, please approach our board coordinator, Hannah Worth. May I ask you to please just take a look? She's the person who's waving her arm over there. Please make sure you've checked in with her if you've not already done so, to sign up to speak. If you're participating remotely and you wish to testify, please use the hand raise feature, and Ms. Worth will provide further instruction when it's your turn to speak. We want to ensure that those testifying are aware that this meeting is being live streamed and recorded. It will be posted online. Additionally, media are present and they may separately record you while you testify. As shared at the outset, we're here for a hearing to take public testimony. We as the board are closely listening to learn and understand so that we can make an informed decision on the current recommendation or any future recommendation from our superintendent and his executive team, and so that we make such a decision with the best possible information. It's important that we as a board, along with the superintendent and his executive team who are developing the proposed recommendations, that we have a complete understanding of our community's needs and experiences before we engage in any decision-making on the recommendations that are put before us. So to that end, the superintendent and his executive team are here tonight along with us, listening to what you as the community have to say about this specific recommendation, as well as engaging in other efforts to capture community feedback. We also need to make clear that we won't be responding or discussing the testimony given today. There's one thing I'd like to say, because you'll see some of us wearing masks. I want to tell you we're not wearing masks, which I'll put back on, because any of us are sick. We are doing it because our at least one person in our extended team is immunocompromised. And so we are doing that out of respect for that person. So we just wanted you to know that. The board will be discussing the recommendations with the superintendent and his executive team, as well as amongst ourselves as a board at the upcoming special board meetings and regular meetings on March 6th, March 9th, and finally March 16th. So with that, we are going to begin this evening's hearing regarding the recommendations to consolidate Ardmore Elementary School with Bennett, Cherry Crest, and Sherwood Forest Elementary Schools. So Ms. Worth, who is our first speaker?
Thank you. We'll start with our in-person speakers and then continue to online speakers. And folks online, I will give further directions when we get to that part in the meeting. So please hang on with us. Our first speaker tonight is Kristen de Alterius. And I will say while she's walking up, folks, that please be prepared, be ready, be bold. When it is your name next on the slide, go ahead and come on up, okay? Thank you.
Before you start, I'm just going to let people know, if you've not been here before, you will be able to see the clock counter up on the screen. And I probably will rely on Ms. Worth to remind me if you're hitting the 2-minute mark, because most of us will be taking notes as you speak. So just wanted to let you know that. So So with that, thank you.
Hi, I'm Kristen Terrace, and I'm a school psychologist, and I've been a school psychologist for 30 years, past 21 here in Bellevue, where I've worked at 8 different elementary schools throughout my career here. And I'm also the lead school psychologist for the district. And most importantly, I'm Ardmore's school psychologist. And I would just like to say that each title school provides stability for their respective communities and is able to provide the specific and unique services directly to their neighborhood families. A large percentage of our Ardmore students and families have significant and often multi-layered histories of trauma, which impacts them on a daily basis. Closing and or combining 2 Title I elementary schools is counterintuitive and can have significant negative effects for the children that we serve, especially due to the high amount of trauma that they've experienced, resulting in trust, abandonment, rejection, and displacement issues, and a lack of a sense of belonging. Closing or combining 2 title elementary schools does not align with BSD's emphasis on equity, and it further continues marginalizing our highest needs students who have the fewest means to overcome them. At Ardmore, we are proof that small schools do work. We have the highest proportion of our actual neighborhood students, K through 5 in preschool, that attend Ardmore. Prior to the pandemic, despite it, our data shows that for the past 4 to 5 years, our students have continued to make significant gains and progress both academically and for their social emotional well-being. We have new students enroll each week, and because of our intentionality for embracing them, we build authentic relationships, and this increases their sense of belonging exponentially. This year, our data shows that at mid-year, our students are already at and above the progress points that they were when we ended last spring. Please provide our Ardmore students the equity that they deserve and do not continue to marginalize our highest needs students who have the least means to overcome them. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. My name is Jolyn Danielson, and I am the librarian at Ardmore Elementary School and have been for the past 7 years. In my 26 years in the education field, 12 years with BSD, opening the SH at the Sammamish High School Library, being the Odell Middle School librarian, and teaching at Stevenson, I have never had to close a school and be reassigned. At Ardmore, we aspire to achieve success in all that we do, but it's the little things that make Ardmore so special. We have a designated SEL time wherein specialists, teachers, and co-teachers alike can go into a classroom and be included in the discussion that morning. We are always welcome. We have a wonderful PBIS support system in place for students who may need a little assistance in regulating their behavior, especially in these past couple of years that have been messed up by COVID. And our school just won the divisional first annual Bellevue Battle of the Books against Medina, Woodridge, and Cherry Crest, which is a major, major deal. Throughout the entire 7 years I've been at Ardmore, we have faced many challenges and have come out stronger afterwards, from negative reviews on Google that do not reflect Ardmore to having multiple principals that have improved our school and community. Ardmore has a very low turnover rate because we are a family. Our library collection thrives with many books that include windows, mirrors, and sliding glass doors. Our library has one of the biggest collections in the district and is used greatly by students and teachers alike. We always need more culturally relevant books. Every library does. We all want the same thing for our students, and sending them to 3 different schools will be a detriment to what we have built. I cannot be in 3 buildings, and students are just coming out of the worst trauma that children can face not going to school in person. We all know that any change will affect all schools in our district, but our students and families must come first. Closing any neighborhood school would be difficult, but please consider the community of Ardmore in your decision at the forefront. Our school has always been a small neighborhood school. The students at Ardmore Hill Elementary have come to depend on seeing familiar faces each day. We have very low turnover. Having a smaller building capacity, although with preschools 60 kiddos, we're pretty full, has really helped our students feel back at home at school after COVID, and the wonderful intentional SEL work that's being done every day.
Thank you. Your time has ended.
Thank you. As an Ardmore student put it, Ardmore is life.
Hello, my name is Melina Maroulis, and I have been teaching for 21 years. I have chosen to spend 20 of those years working in Title I schools, and I have been at Ardmore for 13 years. This is my 10th year being a parent at Ardmore as well. I first want to address the inequities in this process. Some of our families are not here today because they do not have means to attend this meeting. They don't have the childcare, or they can't take off work to be at this inconvenient location. They trust that the staff that care for them and their children on a daily basis will speak for them. I understand the school system, and I'm intimidated to speak in front of you today. Ardmore has structures that ensure students receive what they need, starting at a Tier 1 level. The BLT, which I am a part of, makes decisions for the school that are student-centered. For example, as a BLT, we were presented in August with the need to create a 2-3 split classroom. However, because we value collaboration, the BLT decided to create a team of 2-3 splits. This decision was based on what was best for our students. In fact, my own daughter is thriving in one of those classrooms. We value collaboration and the research that supports it, and this was a choice that we made. Enrollment at Ardmore has always been an issue. We have always been a small school, and it has never been about birth rate or housing costs. 10 years ago, I had a Microsoft volunteer in my classroom once a week. And after a few months, this volunteer shared with me that he had a personal reason for volunteering, that he had 3 young children at home, and that his neighbors did not have positive things to say about the community at Ardmore. He and his wife decided to come volunteer and find out for themselves. They went on to enroll all of their children at Ardmore. There are so many amazing things happening at Ardmore, and we have one of the strongest systems of collaboration I have ever been a part of. Why do the current staff and students need to consolidate into another school in order for a special program to come to Ardmore? Why can't the special program come to us so that we can build on all the strong supports we have in place already and build on top of that?
There's a lot of inconsistent information that has been coming out regarding the consolidation of Ardmore Elementary. One idea I've heard is using Ardmore as a place for innovation and bringing in new programs such as the Heritage Language Program and or STEAM program to make it a desirable neighborhood school. I firmly believe that our current community at Ardmore deserves the opportunity to be a part of this future and have access to high quality education and not be broken up across 3 different elementary schools around the area. I'm here to advocate for our community to keep our students and staff safe or together and bring in new programs to Ardmore. My name is Midia Frederick, and I have been a teacher at Ardmore for 5 years. And for the past 2 years, I've been an upper elementary co-teacher. This year, I've had the pleasure to work with 4th grade, where we have 26 students in both 4th grade classrooms, very big class sizes with big bodies. We have 2 homeroom teachers, 1 co-teacher, 1 MLL facilitator, 1 special education teacher, and 1 GSA. And all together, we have collaborated to create a powerhouse team that supports the needs of all of our students. Every student who receives any kind of service is included and is thought of in our classrooms. Specifically, we focus on math instruction, and twice a week, our 4th graders are split into smaller groups, anywhere from 8 to 15, depending on their needs. One specific example that I can highlight is the use of plotting data on a line plot. Before beginning a new unit, our pre-assessment data showed that only 31% of students were able to do so successfully. Through our weekly math groups, customized instruction, our post-assessment data showed that 62% of our students were able to do so. That might not sound like a lot, but we doubled our grade level proficiency. We're constantly meeting, discussing, and reflecting and planning based on what our students are telling us and what the data is telling us. This is one piece of data that's reflective of all areas at our school. I attribute our success to having the flexibility of a co-teacher for myself and our collaboration as a staff. Having a co-teacher provides us the opportunity to dive in and really work with our students. We've taken this opportunity and ran with it. Here at Ardmore, we've developed a strong system of collaboration around data that benefits kids. It takes time to build what we've created here, and we work tirelessly to create and support our students in making huge margins of growth. If we get dissolved into 3 schools, this will all go away because it has taken years to develop our craft to support our unique student population. Please consider keeping our community of families, students, and staff together with integration of new programs.
Hi, my name is Lauren Porto, and I'm the PBIS interventionist at Ardmore. Prior to this year, I've been a special education coach and coordinator in the district for 9 years, and as such, I've had the privilege of supporting students, teachers, and families at all of our elementary and secondary schools. As we all know, our students in special education being served with an IEP are often the furthest from educational justice. Very often, these students intersect with other marginalized categories, including students of color, multilingual learners, and students receiving free and reduced lunch. Our schools aren't equipped with tools or resources to support students who are falling behind due to circumstances outside of our control, and this results in students in these categories to be overrepresented in our special education population. You have or will hear my colleagues talk about our MTSS structure at Ardmore. This is our commitment to interrupting systemic ableism and racism in action. Our undertaking to address the disproportionate identification of other marginalized communities within our special education population. Our PLCs and impact teams are effective in keeping our students from being misidentified as requiring special education services. Ardmore students need this commitment from their teachers next year, whatever building they are in. They deserve a school culture that is passionate about tiered interventions and evidence-based structures to support their learning. Students that are receiving special education services are often removed from their general education classes or sometimes from their neighborhood school entirely to attend special classes or programs. But research tells us that students experience improved outcomes in academic, social, emotional, and behavioral areas when they're included in their neighborhood school and with their same-age peers. And while Ardmore has not been formally identified as an inclusion school, the staff is visually committed to this work. All of our BSC teachers are talented, but it's not uncommon for me in my role as a coordinator to be called to meetings to advise on how to move a student to a centered program or how to add paraeducator minutes to a student's day. This just doesn't happen at Ardmore. For example, the team has reduced the total number of paraeducator minutes on students' IEPs by more than half since the start of the school year. This means that students are able to navigate their day with more independence and in a less restrictive environment. I know from my years in the district that this is special. If you look at our paraeducator data, you'll see that across the district, our paraeducator support is increasing over time.
I'm
I
sorry, your time is up. Thank you.
Eva, can you hold 1 second? Can we increase the time just slightly? I appreciate everyone putting a lot of effort in organizing their thought, but their speeding through their organized thought is preventing me from consuming all that information. And I want to do the due diligence, and I don't feel I'm doing that when I can't hear half the thing because I'm not catching it.
I think we would need all board directors to agree, because while I understand that, we only have what we have here and everybody online. So we would have to do that for everyone. So
Even
I
my
think
15 seconds or
I
something.
think what we might want to just do is when we hit the 2-minute mark, if those of you can give yourself another 5 or 10 seconds to finish your last thought, why don't we go ahead and do that so that you're not left kind of with a truncated sentence?
That'd be great. Thank you.
I feel like that would probably be fair. So we're going to add a little bit of grace there, but just be mindful that we may end up, if we make it 3 or 4 minutes, there will be somebody at the end of the night who doesn't get to talk. So that's what we're struggling with. Okay, so with that in mind, why don't we go ahead and, I think is it Eve Chan? Okay, just go ahead as you start. I think all of you are naturally doing this. Just announce your name. It's really helpful. Thank you.
Great, of course. So my name is Eve Chan. I'm a parent of a kindergartner at Ardmore. I'm also a teacher. I stand before you today with a few requests and questions to ponder. I ask that you read and reread and take into heart and apply the equity and accountability policy and procedure called Critical Criteria, Shared Commitment to Each and Every Student. I ask that you assess how an education system and how a decision made by people who are in positions of power can oppress a group of people before you make your decision on March 9th. I want to highlight just one of those commitments that is stated in the policy that isn't currently being followed. Quote, create opportunities and remove barriers to ensure our community can in turn be strengthened, end quote, with remove barriers in bold. And I want you to take a look around you in this room today and examine who is not present in this room and ask yourselves why it is that our working, multilingual, lower SES, refugee and immigrant families are not represented and able to attend a 4:30 meeting at WISC or online. 95% of our participants here today are staff members who know and can navigate this system. So what steps are we taking to remove barriers so that each and every stakeholder can participate in a system that isn't set up for them to succeed? What are your next steps to ensure that families who cannot attend today, their voices are heard and their stories are told? How are you going to meet them where they are? Will you go to the places where they are rooted and thriving rather than taking them out of their comfort and safe space to meet you here? What's the purpose of today's meeting but merely to hear and not have a dialogue? Where is this two-way restorative conversation? Why aren't we sitting in a community circle and learning from one another? Where are we reconciling misalignments? And this is also written in the policy. Where are our students' voices? I learned from a BSD PD on restorative justice that dialogue is important because it creates a safe place in which the people involved in a conflict can listen deeply to each other's stories and perception of the conflict without attempting to persuade the other. The goal is to humanize the conflict and repair the emotional or physical harm to the greatest extent possible. And I don't think we can ever repair the harm that has been caused unless we humanize this decision and all the effects that it'll have on our families, but most importantly for our students, until there is true dialogue and conversation. We need answers and we need communication to be transparent and frequent. I want to end with a quote. Leaders who do not act dialogically but insist on imposing their decisions do not organize the people, they manipulate them. They do not liberate, nor are they liberated. They oppress. And that's from Paulo Freire.
All right. Hello, my name is Alan Magapon. I'm currently a behavior support specialist and PBIS at Ardmore. After working in several districts and dozens of schools, even though it is my first year here, it felt like home more than anything. I have seen through my time working here at Ardmore how resilient our students and their families are. Through my time here, I've heard their stories and experiences from being from different socioeconomic backgrounds, broken households, and traumas that most of us have never experienced. They share their experiences with open hearts, and they lie on listening ears with nothing but respect. The trust that is distilled in us by our students to be a safe place. I personally have seen how displacement could be so detrimental to our students and their families. Our students are worried about things that no one of their age should ever experience. I not only work to serve the students to the best of my ability, but to be an advocate for every student in our community here at Ardmore. Thank you.
I'm Jennifer Jones, and this is my 4th year as the ITCL at Ardmore. You're hearing us talk about how special Ardmore is because Ardmore is indeed a special place. Our families come to us from all over the world, and for many of our students, Ardmore is their first American community. We work hard to welcome these families to our country and to meet the variety of needs that they present while also providing access to learning that meets students where they are. And they are learning. Our staff has reignited our professional learning communities and multi-tiered systems of support processes this year to quickly identify and provide tailored support to students as needs arise. Our mid-year data showed a great deal of growth in literacy and math for all students, especially those who are new to the country and are multi-language learners. Ardmore school data sometimes looks skewed due to our high level of student transition. While we do have the highest student transition percentage in the district, it is not because those families don't want their children at Ardmore. The majority of the students who leave Ardmore do so because their families find permanent housing in areas outside of Bellevue or because they have to return to their home countries to fulfill visa requirements. There is discussion around keeping Ardmore open and bringing special programming to our school. We welcome the opportunity to provide this access for our students, especially as they haven't historically been given that access. There is a suggestion that Ardmore become a STEAM school, and I can tell you from personal experience that those types of learning programs work very well in Title communities. My last 2 schools were Title I STEM elementary schools, and I spent 10 years watching those learners discover new ideas and educational opportunities that they wouldn't otherwise have had without the STEM emphasis. We want our current students and the new members of our community to have access to those programs. We hope you will decide to keep Ardmore open and bring new learning opportunities for our students. We request that if that decision is made, that our current students be given the opportunity to stay at Ardmore first, rather than being told to choose another school and then having to opt back into Ardmore. Convoluted processes such as those restrict access and are inequitable to many families who are new to the U.S. and American procedures and may result in students missing out on opportunities.
Thank you.
My name is Kelly Nordstrom, and I'm the office manager at Ardmore Elementary. I've been in the Bellevue School District for 23 years, and this is my 11th year at Ardmore. My 6 years at Cherry Crest were wonderful. My 6 years at Somerset were great. After my first year at Ardmore, I knew that I wanted to stay there until I retire because I had found home. And part of the finding of home is because of seeing that all your students and your families consider it home. When you know that, it feels like home to you. Our students are international kids. They come from around the world and find a place that works to give them security and support, whether that looks like academics, emotional support, family resources, or any other number of helps. Our students are local kids. They move from school to school as their families find housing needs and opportunities that change from time to time, and they have to move. While we work to support kids in trauma situations, we also have a lot of kids who are just new kids. Ardmore gets enrollments constantly throughout the year, which means lots of new kids. It's scary and nerve-wracking to be a new kid, and at Ardmore, we've devised a specific plan to help with the getting to know you process. In fact, sometimes it's our trauma learners who are the welcoming resource for a new kid, and it's one of the reasons that Ardmore feels like home. I'm asking that our kids not be separated from each other. Consolidating the kids into 3 schools seems unthinkable. 2 schools, really, really awful, and 1 school just awful. Anyways, keep our kids at home. Don't separate them. Give Ardmore a program. Give us a program to give to our kids to increase their horizons, to give them wings to fly even higher, and they will do that. We can do any program that you give us. We've been doing it for a while. We're tough and we're capable. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Monica Lowe, and I'm the assistant principal at Ardmore Elementary. First, I would like to acknowledge the difficult decision you'll be making and the challenging situation we're in. I appreciate you providing this opportunity to hear my voice, our voices, the Ardmore voices. While I'm still relatively new to Ardmore, upon entering into this school, I was immediately welcomed as part of Ardmore's past, present, and future. And this is the Ardmore story that I continue to hear and experience. This is a school community that, in my opinion, truly reflects the diversity within the Seattle area, and our Bellevue students get to experience this diversity when they're here at Ardmore. I see every racial, economical, familial group represented at Ardmore, and I've had the privilege to be part of this innovative community that works so hard collectively to best serve our students and families. With the district's commitment to racial equity and our community's hard work on empowering our next generation's racial equity leaders through the academic, social, emotional, and family outreach systems that we have implemented, Ardmore is the school community that provides a realistic experience that is a reflection of the society we live in to our students. We're ready to welcome the potential of any new programs, so we're able to continue serving and empowering our current students while growing our diverse community. This year marks the 55th year of Ardmore's establishment in the Bellevue School District. During the past 55 years, our students, families, and staff have changed. But what remains the same is the strong sense of community and collaboration among all within this tight community. I can only imagine that with every school that's founded, it's because the community and the district are working together to instill the love of learning and global competency for our future generation.
You can do whatever she and you are. If she would prefer it, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, I think under the circumstances, I'm just going to suggest we make this, we're going to make it 3 minutes because I think it's going to take longer.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't think we have a way to translate and not give it more time. So let's just do that. See how it goes. Yeah, we'll double it, but why don't we make it?
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Rocío Castillo
Good evening. My name is Rocio Castillo.
y agradezco por este espacio que se nos está dando.
I'm very grateful for the space that you have provided this evening.
Mi mensaje será corto.
My message will be short.
Como madre de un niño de 4º grado,
Like as a mother of a 4th grader,
igual que él, tengo muchos sentimientos encontrados.
just like him, I do have a lot of feelings and emotions that have been found in this.
Mi mensaje es que ojalá sea reconsiderado.
My message is that hopefully this will be reconsidered.
Armor para mi familia, como para muchas otras familias,
Armor for my family and for many other families.
no es solo un edificio con aulas y sillas.
It's not just a building with chairs and classrooms.
Es nuestra segunda familia, es nuestro segundo hogar.
It really is our second home, our second family.
Y mi hijo, el impacto que ha tenido esto para él es mucha confusión y temor.
And for my son, the impact that this has had, this communication has instilled in him a lot of confusion, and it also has instilled a lot of fear.
Él siempre tuvo un sueño y una expectativa de graduarse de Armor.
He always had a dream and an expectation that he would get the chance to graduate from Ardmore Elementary.
Y igual que muchos de sus amigos,
And like many of his friends,
ellos solo quieren hacerles saber que por favor les den la posibilidad de que Armor siga siendo su segundo hogar.
and him, like many of his friends and other children that attend Ardmore, would like the opportunity to have the opportunity to continue, for Ardmore to continue being his second home, their second home.
Por favor, no los separen y por favor espero que encuentren otras maneras de solucionar estos problemas.
Please don't separate them, and hopefully there will be opportunity to consider other ways to solve the problem at hand.
No separen este hogar, por favor.
Please don't separate this home.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Open Tush. Hello, I'm Irene Kearns, Ardmore MLL facilitator and Woodridge Chinook parent. People trust the experts and the experts serve the people. That is not happening in Bellevue. Trust is eroded and we are all at the whims and mercies of those who scream the loudest. I appeal to you to truly listen and trust your instincts in regard to this problem. So many good and true sentiments have been shared about Ardmore, and I would be remiss to not to point out that title teachers have always had to work harder, be more creative, do more, find funding in hidden places, and now while we should be off from work doing what we find re-energizing, we are here fighting and proving our value to a district that does not seem to care about us or the community we serve. We just know that's part and parcel with this job. We work hard for our students, and we want to believe our district will work hard for us and the community we work in. We want to trust the experts, but time and again, BSD has proven that they are not here to serve everyone. We know you can't control our affordable housing crisis or the groupthink surrounding the imagined benefit of private schools, but you can control communication and your commitment to equity. As a Native American community member asked to give feedback on the equity resolution about 4 years ago, I thought things would change. What I've noticed as a parent and educator is that it has gotten worse. From pandemic reopening processes left to screaming real estate agents and some loud parents who are allowed to sow hatred and division and cause trauma, to this current and very awful sing for your supper scenario, BSD has not put their money where their mouth is when it comes to equity, or mental health. Of course, all of these schools are important to our communities. It is galling to think we need a hearing to learn about the wonderful community at Ardmore or any other school community for that matter. There's not more that can possibly be said in that regard, so I will focus on a few main points. By voting to stay the decision until a more thorough and equitable review, you will allow, 1, time to research ways to solve the problem and look into other equitable solutions with transparency. 2, dig further into the budget that so far has not shown that closing schools will cover the expected shortfall. 3, decide if the executive board is up for the challenges of our modern district. 4, get opinions from different demographers. And 5, reflect on the non-financial impact a decision like this will have on a community. Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Sarah Mendenhall. This is my 12th year teaching kindergarten at Ardmore. With each update that comes in regards to planning for our future, I really just feel more confused. I don't understand why the information that I'm receiving as a staff member is not quite the same as the information that our community is receiving, is not at all the same as the information that was in the superintendent's written recommendation. It starts to feel a little bit misleading and like there's a lot of smoke and mirrors, and it leaves me feeling really protective of the Ardmore community. I appreciate that this decision comes down to the budget, but I didn't get into teaching to make the budget work. I'm in this job because I love teaching children. I love teaching them to read and to be the best versions of themselves. I love teaching them all the reasons that they have to look in the mirror and be proud of the person looking back. I don't feel very proud of our district right now, and that's really difficult for me to accept because nearly my entire professional career has been in Bellevue, and I've always been proud to be able to say that I teach kindergarten in Bellevue at a Title I school. Right now, I'm so worried that none of us have all the information, but we're being asked to make decisions that will have a profound negative impact on our most at-risk community. I'm asking 2 things of you. 1, please make sure that you have enough facts to make an informed decision. And when you have those facts, maybe you could share them with the rest of us because our staff is really struggling right now. 2, I ask you to remember why you wanted to be a member of this board. I believe that you sought this position because you want to have a positive impact on the children in our community. We can meet the needs of the budget without sacrificing our integrity. Thank you. Hi, my name is Caitlin Fiorillo, and I'm the school counselor at Ardmore. Ardmore's sense of belonging data shows our student sense of belonging has continued to increase. In the fall, our sense of belonging survey data shows that 76% of our students felt like they belong at Ardmore. This is an increase from the fall of 2021, where 72% of our students reported a high sense of belonging. The data shows that a difference of 4 or more in percentage points is considered meaningful in our panorama survey. Given the unique racial and economic barriers that our students face, we've learned that we must establish systems that proactively uncover those barriers and break them down. At Ardmore, we focus on what breaking down those specific barriers look like for each family and work proactively to partner with those families to ensure they have what they need. If this work that we are doing to actively break down these barriers at Ardmore is disseminated, how do we as the larger district demonstrate our commitment to serving our most marginalized students? At Ardmore, the work we are doing is working for our students, new or continuing. We are willing and ready to welcome more students to Ardmore while keeping our current community. Before our last presentation to the school board, the district, we had students write Dr. Jarvis letters addressing why they love Ardmore or what makes Ardmore so special. Before handing them off, I looked over them, and the theme that came up for our students was safety. Our students love Ardmore because they feel safe here. My fear is that our students and families will have to start over and possibly lose their sense of safety along with their community. We are a Title I school, and our students and community require support and services that will be lost along the way when being split into 3 different schools, 2 of which are not Title I. How can we ensure the systems of support that our community and students need will be addressed if the decision is made to split Ardmore into 3 schools? Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Luis Chavez. I'm a parent of 10 years old from Armor. First thing, I want to say thank you for every worker from the school district. They make an effort every day to make better students, better persons, and better citizens. So I want to say thank you for them. So, yeah, I think every school around the world or every single classroom deserve respect, deserve care, and deserve improvements when required. So it's pretty simple. I can keep talking and talking, but the equation is pretty easy, right? When you close a school, think about it. You close thousands of dreams. So I hope you keep open this school and keep making better the community and all the environment around here. So thank you very much.
Before our next speaker, I'll just ask that in order to respect everyone's time tonight, if you see your name coming up next on the screen, we've got a whole row of empty chairs that you can come sit in and be ready to pop up to that mic. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Bev Doliak. I spoke to you a couple of weeks ago. I'm a lab teacher at Ardmore. I've been there a long time. What I'm asking you is not to close Ardmore. It's a title school. It's a matter of equity. I think BSD often talks the talk of equity, but does not walk the walk. Title schools students are the furthest away from educational justice. They're the easiest to dispose of because a title school community has more trouble making a defense. And it's not because they don't care. It's because our families speak 45 languages. They don't have the means to come to a meeting and to know what to say. Our PTSA tried to address the community format that we used earlier and asked for a different format, and were denied the format that they felt dealt with equity. You know, the kids are the reason that I teach and have been teaching for this long time. They deserve to know that their home will not be taken from them. And I'm here to ask you to protect that environment that allows them to thrive and prosper. Closing Ardmore is perpetuating the systemic racism that we know exists in our education system, because once again, it will mostly affect our Black and Brown students. Our students want to be at Ardmore. They enjoy it, and they're thriving, as seen in our latest panorama survey. This is enacting unnecessary trauma for our students, and I ask you as a board, start again from a place of equity in a way that is community-led. Keep Ardmore open and welcome to the neighborhood, and bring us additional programming that will fill up our spaces. We would welcome it. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Yifan Fu, and I am a special education teacher at Ardmore. I joined Ardmore 3 years ago as a novice teacher, and the work that I have seen in this school community is what made me believe in continuing my career in education. As a special ed teacher, I can testify that the Ardmore staff is dedicated to and skilled at providing inclusive education for our students. In fact, we have students that could have qualified for specialized programs such as Olympic or Cascade, who have instead successfully stayed and thrived at Ardmore with their general education peers. They're gaining more independence in the least restrictive environment because of the inclusionary practices we provide. At Ardmore, I have never found myself in a position where I need to constantly advocate for my students with disabilities because my students are already so well loved, supported, and understood by the entire staff. The Ardmore community is also special because of our students. We have a racially, culturally, linguistically, socioeconomically, and neurodevelopmentally diverse student body. We teach our students to learn about different cultures and perspectives, to be proud of their heritage, to appreciate various types of strengths and talents, and to empathize with other struggles. As a Chinese immigrant myself, I feel immediately welcomed at the Ardmore family, and many of our students share the same sentiment. We have many students who have experienced trauma at Ardmore. Our students have been able to find safety and establish trust with our community. Breaking this community apart by consolidating it into 3 different schools means that these students and families will need to establish trust again with a new team that may or may not have the same experience of understanding and supporting their specific needs and strengths as Ardmore does. In fact, I have parents reaching out to me, sharing with me that they feel extremely anxious about the potential of switching schools, as it breaks the consistency, stability, and trust that they so deeply thrive on. So please consider keeping Ardmore, the community of families, students, and staff together. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Bob Steed. I'm a former chair of the Bellevue School District Fiscal Committee and had been a member of that for numerous years. I'm very familiar with the data and the investments and the budgets that you have to handle. My message is the property itself. Do not dispose of school properties. We did a study on this years ago when I was on the Bellevue Fiscal Committee, and that was the output that we had. Number of concerns, large tracts of future Bellevue, if we need large tracts for a future school, they're not available. We have the golf courses, we have parks, we have business sites. It's too expensive. We want to keep the ownership and control of the existing properties for future Bellevue school uses. Like in Ashwood Elementary School, it was closed, it was sold, and the downtown population increased. A surplus site was necessary. That is Wilburton. If we had got rid of that surplus site years ago, we would not have had Wilburton today. The student populations have times decreased, followed by increases beyond what we'd previously had. Right now, the state is acting to increase population densification. Single-family home areas are now being slated by House Bill 1782, which would allow townhomes, duplexes, triplexes, and quadplexes in single-family areas. That would increase the densification. We need to have the legacy of the properties maintained and supported. Closing schools, eliminating schools is something that we should not be doing. The full effect, also the Bellevue City densification of Spring District and downtown has not completed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Shannon Chancellor. I teach first grade at Ardmore. This is my 4th year there. I had a whole speech in my phone from random thoughts of what makes Ardmore so great. But after our meeting with the decision-making board and with all the information that we've been getting and the changes in information, I deleted it because I did not think I was going to get to be heard anymore. Now I'm having a hard time coming up with what I want to say because I feel like with the emotions around this, I have hit a wall. But one thing I can say is that after teaching for 15 years, I thought I found my forever home in Ardmore. I came here from a typical white Christian district in the middle of Texas, where I was told what I couldn't teach, mocked for suggesting we teach our students about the world outside their own neighborhood, and witnessed educators selecting to ignore our major historical events in our country because of the skin color of the history makers. And then I landed at Ardmore and knew I needed to be a part of it. I knew it was different. Even though I've spent my entire career in title schools and would have been considered a low-income student myself growing up, I have chosen to stay in title schools because of the special community they tend to foster. Ardmore is no different. Although we have differences in languages, cultures, housing, religions, and economic status, Ardmore works. School staff, students, and families work hard to make sure these differences don't hurt our students' learning, but enhances it. I have always wanted to be part of something big that makes a difference in children's lives. And I feel Ardmore does just that. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Megan Weinman. I'm a parent at Sherwood Forest Dual Language Program. I'm hopeful for recommendation revisions by March 9th, but I'm dubious that that is going to happen. Superintendent Aramaki has said that this is the most challenging thing we can do together as a community, and I would agree. But the report recommendations have glaring inequities in who is the most impacted. Specifically, I'd like to draw a comparison between two schools, Ardmore and Medina Elementary. Medina unilaterally received a pass in being part of the recommendations with a one-line explanation because it was on the edge of the district. That logic could apply to Newport Heights, could apply to Bennett, could apply to Ardmore, but Medina has been ring-fenced from facing any impacts. The median family income, excuse me, in Medina is $200,000. The median family income for a family who qualifies for reduced lunch is $51,000. 40% of the population at Ardmore qualifies for reduced or free lunch. 2% of the population, that is 2% of the population of Medina. Students are also being imported to Medina based on BSD program placement. Over the past 2 years, 177 children have been transferred to Medina to a school that is on the edge of the district. I'd like to understand how many students who reside in Medina are actually being served by Medina Elementary. Open transfer may be state mandated, but BSD has control of where programs go. Why is there not a plan to close Medina and consolidate with Clyde Hill and move advanced learning to Wilburton? There's capacity at both schools for that move. Even better, why is there not advanced learning at Ardmore? Lastly, to display inequity even further, Ardmore's PTA and staff have been working tirelessly for the past month to translate school closure information for the dozens of languages spoken by families at Ardmore. Medina's PTA is hosting a fundraiser for their school on March 31st, with tickets costing $275 per person. Medina is a school that has the most to give. Ardmore, with the most vulnerable students in the district, is having to fight for equal access to education. I appreciate the consideration of my comments.
Good evening. My name is Sherry Gaines. I'm a teacher at Ardmore. I started at Ardmore 17 years ago. And it has been my home ever since. Since this whole process has started, I have tried to remove myself, seeing as Ardmore is my home. Since I've been there, I've been involved in being part of the BEA, part of the union. I was sent to St. Louis to start our school as a STEM school. I was part of a Title I committee with other teachers and district members throughout the district to figure out ways to support Title I schools through restorative conversations. Our school was also selected throughout my time at Ardmore to become a GLAD school. We went to other districts and observed for 2 days the whole GLAD process, interviewed with the teachers. They taught us and we came in, we brought that back as well too. That never ended up in fruition at Ardmore as well either. I've always felt, for some reason, Ardmore has been the black sheep of the district. When we have gone to meetings with other school members and other teachers, we tell them where we're from, and we don't get that welcoming feeling that we would get from other teachers in the district. Whether that be our test scores, or the population that we serve, our small enrollment, there's just always been that feel. Yet, Ardmore is my home. I was not going to speak in any of this today, but I do want to ask about the process that this has all been going through. It seems like the teachers are confused about what's been being proposed. They're trying to consolidate us into these 3 different schools. The day after that was proposed to you, we get information that Ardmore quite possibly will stay open. They will be getting, or possibly getting, a new heritage program. There's no reason why Ardmore students can't be at that program or be at that school as well too, and encompass a heritage program, and also possibly make Ardmore a STEAM school. No other students would benefit more than our students already. Yet our community's not being told that that's even an option at this point. All they know is that they need to choose between Cherry Crest, Bennett, and
I do
Sherwood
need to,
Forest.
I apologize.
I think they need the opportunity to know they have the opportunity to stay at Ardmore. Thank you.
Hi there. My name is Patrick West, and I'm a fourth grade teacher at Ardmore, and this is my first year teaching. While this may be my first year as a certificated staff, this is my 6th year as an Ardmore staff member. Previously, I served as a Jubilee Reach coach for 5 years before receiving my certification. This community is the reason that I became an educator. I relocated to this community so that I could have a more involved role in it. To keep things short, I want to reiterate what others have said about this community, about this family. We are resilient, we are equitable, and we are inclusive. We collaborate to provide the best wraparound support that is possible for families and students. There is no reason to consolidate Ardmore before opening a new program. To do so would be tearing down a strong concrete foundation to build a house on sand. Ardmore has always received the short end of the stick. Ardmore has been repeatedly pushed down, and because of our resiliency, we have gotten up on our own. I challenge you to reflect on this racist and equitable process. Please don't close Ardmore. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anna Brink. I have a 5th grader and a kindergartner at Ardmore. I've also served as the PTSA president. The Ardmore community is a big part of my family's life. The announcement of Ardmore closing felt like a gut punch. We as a community had just started to climb out of the COVID bubble, back to meeting other families at movie nights, organizing fun events for the students, funding field trips, and then overnight, we entered this strange middle ground of, are we closing? Or maybe not? We are all just so full of questions right now with no answers. Who will stay in Ardmore? If we decide to stay, or if we are let to stay, will any of my child's friends be there anymore? Will any of the familiar staff stay? Will Ardmore close in maybe 2 years when they find out this wasn't enough savings? Should we change schools now to avoid further disruptions later on? I'm asking the board to consider how rushed this process feels at the moment. We are now brought here to share our thoughts about staying at Ardmore without knowing what that means. What are the programs planned? Who can apply? Will it be a lottery? Will there be regular classes as well? Will the staff stay? We appreciate greatly the possible chance to host something new. A lot of focus has been placed on the number of families who have been asking to leave Ardmore area or Ardmore school through open enrollment, but we hope that by considering our school for a new program, you are seeing the wonderful community of families who have stayed. We are here, we are eager to partner on new opportunities, and we just need to know what it is with adequate time to help educate the rest of the families who are not here today and help them make informed decisions. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nicole Fuller. Thank you for your time today. My kids have been at Ardmore since 2015. I think I did that math right, with a current 4th grader and a 7th grader. I've been trying to focus my thoughts to eloquently speak to you all today. Unfortunately, I don't know that I can. Despite coming to every board meeting and listening session these past 2 months, I'm so confused. And really, that's what I want you to know. I'm confused where my 5th grader will be next year. I can't believe that change is happening and we still don't know where he will be. I'm confused why this needs to happen so quickly, especially as many others have said, we're finally starting to feel like this is a normal year after COVID. I'm confused why we've only been shown budget numbers and not reports and analyses on impacts on learning outcomes, especially for the many diverse populations at Ardmore. I'm confused why this decision is based on enrollment without acknowledging the numbers that special programs bring to other schools not being considered. I'm confused why Ardmore cannot remain a neighborhood school with new programming rather than starting as a potential new choice school. As many, let me catch my breath. And many other parents are confused too. Some of the parents that I spoke with tonight didn't even understand the purpose of this because they think that the decision has been made. They think that the recommendation by the school district is what's happening. They don't understand that we still have a voice and they don't know how to use it. And as many people have said, we have many people that do not speak English as a first language. And this is coming from people I know that are speaking English and are involved. And so how much harder is it for these other families to get this information? And now I'm going to use the lessons that my kids have learned through Ardmore, and I'm going to turn and face the staff because I just want you to know that it's okay to have big feelings and we love you. And this is really sad. And we thank you all for your support and helping us all to grow and learn together. Thank you.
Before our next speaker, sorry to interrupt, we do have a handful more in-person folks that are going to speak, but at this time I'd like to ask folks online, go ahead and press the raise hand button if you'd like to speak tonight. That will look like a white outline of a hand. It'll be in different places depending on what kind of device you're using, but it should look like a white outline of a hand no matter where you are. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Maria Manka. I've been in the district 16 years, my whole career, and 14 of those years have been at title schools. I've served at Ardmore the last 7, and I'm currently the 2-3 split co-teacher. I mention my experience and my years in title because I stay in Bellevue for a particular reason. If we can't close the opportunity gap in Bellevue, where can we close it? And what does this process serve in closing that opportunity gap? And I hope when this process is over, I'm here to advocate that it becomes a period of reflection for our executive staff and our board of how we can better support title schools in Bellevue. We've heard from our community that it is confused and it is starting to feel divided when once it was a welcome home for many multilingual learners and students of a variety of SES backgrounds. I'll kind of shorten my comments a little bit to just ask what this process has communicated about Ardmore and title schools in general, because this process is not welcoming and it's not equitable. We want to create and serve the needs of our students and create a sterling reputation for all schools in Bellevue. And what is Bellevue going to do for that moving forward? And I'll stop there.
Good evening, Bellevue School Board members. Thank you for your time. My name is Diane Strom and I'm a Sherwood Forest parent. First, I want to thank all the Ardmore parents and teachers and staff who are here giving incredible testimony. I've been engaged in the district's process for school closures since the January announcement to close 3 schools. District leadership and the board have been aware of the current budget gap since spring 2022 and only began to truly engage the community in January 2023 after already deciding the data, the criteria, and the potentially affected schools without the equity criteria review school by school. It is a huge miss on the district's part. I ask you, the board, to hold the district accountable for that miss and for this process. I also ask you to, as you consider these consolidations, to maintain the existing Ardmore, Eastgate, and Wilburton communities to the extent possible. The Ardmore families and students and teachers have already told you, we're here, bring the program to us. Those are the sort of creative ideas that I hope that you're listening to. I also want to hope that you've heard from the community about the importance of student-staff relationships, and the split communities may impact the well-being of our most vulnerable students. I ask you to ensure there's a policy for keeping school communities together to the extent possible. This consolidation process must be better communicated and include improved engagement with school communities. I ask the board to hold district leadership accountable for engaging school communities on the full process and the full budget and other cuts that must be made to make up the funding gap, as well as future cuts to middle schools. Families and schools, students, and staff need clarity and don't want to go through another rush process that impacts general education schools yet again. I expect you, the board, to hold the district leadership accountable to do better. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Jessica Holloway, and I've taught elementary art in the district since 2001, 6 different schools. I'm also the K through 12 visual art curriculum developer, so solving the puzzle of K through 5 art teacher allocation is part of my developer role. This is my 5th year teaching at Ardmore, where I teach all students, K through 5. I placed myself here because at the time, there were no volunteers to move to a title school. Leaders shouldn't ask others to take on challenges they would not take on themselves. Those first 2 years were humbling for me as our brilliant kids put me through the paces as a teacher at the time who had 17 years of experience, but none at title. As an aside, it's easy to feel like an accomplished teacher when the majority of your kids come to school ready to learn with their basic needs met. There has been very little turnover these past 5 years under the leadership of Dr. Reese and now Mrs. Gassaway, because our staff is truly accomplished as a unit and is dedicated to our vision. We wrap our students in what they need: relationships, services, rigorous learning, SEL, life lessons. A sign in the office hanging in the cool down spot reads, "Before you go back to class, know this: you matter, you are loved, you are important." These kids reciprocate 100-fold. I have never been to another place where I've worked so hard to gain trust and been so rewarded with love and effort as a result. I am mourning the future because the present has magical moments that have not come for free. These students, my students, thrive on consistency, on relationships, on belonging in this community because for many, school is stability. The uncertainty of possible program changes or closure that all our community members are experiencing is unnecessarily traumatic and inequitable. What's best? For Ardmore to remain intact. Alternatively, a rebranding that includes additional programs could provide important opportunities. Through this possible transition, it is paramount that decision makers be thoughtful, equitable, and communicative, listening to impacted communities and working with, not doing to. Thank you.
Good evening to the board. My name is Jacqueline Levy, and I am a Ardmore mother of 5 here, 4 current Ardmore Eagles, and hopefully 1 future. And that fate is clearly in your hands, and that's why I'm here today to speak. Some other community members have already shared their points on inequities as well as inaccessibilities. So I'd rather take this opportunity to introduce you to my children. Noelani, who is 10 years old, has had the privilege of all of her elementary years at Ardmore, and I could not be any more grateful to each one of you behind me. So I'm going to try to keep it together. And she is now preparing to head to Highland Middle School next year, which is an amazing school. We've already had the opportunity to tour and feel like I've had my whole life to prepare for that transition. Unlike my 3 other Ardmore students here, one second. They have not had that opportunity to prepare for a transition in the middle of their elementary career. As a parent, you think about those moments of preparing for college or preparing for middle school or high school, and all the time that you have and resources you're able to gather financially as well as emotionally, clearly, and would love to have that same privilege given to them, to have the same consistency given over the last few years of inconsistency around the structure of their education. not just about their academic education, but Ardmore for me has given them education around emotional intelligence, which is something that is incredibly invaluable. And that is a point that I'd like to share that has been substantial in a home as a single mother with 5 children, raising them independently, that I've leaned on Ardmore for a lot more than just academic education. Thank you.
Yeah. So good evening. My name is Jian, and I'm a parent from Cherry Crest. My heart goes out to the family from Edmore. Sorry. And I'm with you. Don't close Edmore. And my humble point is that we should try to avoid making a decision based on enrollment data from pandemic, though trend might not be stable. Also, we have not yet seen the full effect of return to office, which Amazon just announced a few weeks ago, which will bring more family back to the region. Nor have we seen the full effect of company layoff, which also will pull more family from the private school back to public school. In addition, spring district is growing, so we should get better data trend next year this time for making a decision instead of now. It'll be more expensive to close school now and reopen the school later. My second point is regarding Cherry Crest community. The report states that Cherry Crest will be at 100% capacity, but the problem will solve its own with future enrollment decline. I mean, we think there's a lot of downside when we put a school at 100% of capacity. So to evaluate the capacity risk, myself have conducted some research and find out that it's high risk that Cherry Crest under this new proposal will be exceeding the capacity, maybe 30, even to 60% under various scenarios, which I think the last thing we want to see is to rezone 3 years from now and putting families through another painful process like we're going through today. So again, I request the committee looking at data in the next year, later time, to make a more holistic decision instead of basing on data right now. And also, if unfortunately we do end up consolidating the school, I would like to have a backup plan regarding what will happen if one school's capacity, like Cherry Crest, will fully exceed its capacity, and what action will be taken. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jason Fuller. My family's been at Ardmore for 8 years. Currently have a 4th grader, and I don't have a well-prepared speech because every time I sat down to write down some notes, I just got angrier and angrier. So I come to you very pissed off, honestly, and for a few reasons. Many of them have been talked about already, so I'm just going to be reiterating mostly what other people have said. The district's equity policy, if I remember enough of it, talks about leading your actions with equity. You're not doing that. I see this process as a practice in institutional racism. You're not taking into account the needs of students from marginalized communities as much as you should be, in my opinion. And all of the schools most impacted here have the most marginalized communities of students. You're going to be breaking up these communities. So on paper, it might sound okay, we're going to distribute families, kids to 3 different schools, but you're breaking apart community. And as you've heard from many of the teachers, that's critical to the success of marginalized students, to all students, but particularly marginalized students. So your proposal will break that. So that's one of the big points that I wanted to make. The other one is I have the other reason for the anger is that the process, this entire process is, in my mind, because no other word is coming to mind, ridiculous. You have a comment night for Ardmore families, for Ardmore staff, but you have cited it far away from the school. and at a time when most families, I assume, can't be here because you're hearing mostly from teachers. So it's making it difficult for parents to come and tell you what they love about Ardmore. I was excited to see that Ardmore got a time to speak. And then when I saw that it was here, I was flabbergasted. I assumed it would be at the school to make it easy for everyone to come there. So I urge you to step back, think about equity, think about how you're going to be breaking up communities, and lead with that rather than just the money. Thank you.
My name is Carson Fisco. I'm a parent. When Ardmore was remodeled in 2010, the architecture firm designed it based on the school's high value and culture of collegiality and the connections within this neighborhood. Ardmore's open library is built in the center of the school as a place where the students and staff gather, just as our school is the heart of the larger community, where we draw from a wonderfully diverse group of members together as one. With the history and the legacy that Ardmore's been building year to year since its founding, I ask you to take into consideration the time it takes to make such a significant shift of breaking apart a strong community into multiple schools, and the transparency of a detailed plan our community needs to continue the culture of collaboration that we support and seek. Most importantly, the intention and purpose of the current recommendation must be carefully examined as the board considers for whom this recommendation ultimately serves best. Legacy takes time to build, and so does a collaborative community. And so I ask you, what's the legacy that our district will be building now and for the future? And how will it be built in partnership with everyone at the Ardmore community? Thank you.
And that concludes the in-person folks who have let me know they would like to speak. I'm going to turn now to online speakers. If you are in the room and you have not yet spoken but would like to, please do let me know. For now, I'm going to go to the list of folks who have raised their hand online. And I will say that if you are having trouble raising your hand but would like to speak, there's an email address up on the slide here, communityforums@bsd405.org. Please do let us know if you need some tech support. We'll do our best for you tonight. And if you'd like to email the board, their email address is up on the screen as well, board@bsd405.org.
Okay, one thing, Ms. Worth, I just want to say, let's take the people you have online. I'm going to then suggest a very short break because I think we had some technical issues, and that way you can make sure if there's anybody online or in the room who didn't get a chance to express their desire to speak, we get them. We can take a short break and then we'll come back. And if there's really nobody, then we know what our process is at the end of the hearing. But that way we'll know that everybody got covered. So after we have the four who've indicated a hand up, we'll take a short break and then we'll come back. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, if you're in Teams and you click the people button, you will see a list of folks with their hands up and you'll see that Teams numbers those hands. So that is the order that I will be going in. Hand number 1 goes first, hand number 2 goes second, and so on. Just before it's your turn to speak, I'll be allowing your microphone and camera. You will have to click the buttons to turn those on so that we can see and hear you. So I'll ask Ming-Ye to go ahead and turn on your microphone and your camera as well as if you wish.
Can you make sure that as they speak, when you get their name, it's just like we have the in-person names projected, we do that for the people online too. Thank you.
Ming-Ye, are you able to speak to us online? You'll have to turn on your camera and turn on your microphone.
Okay, I'm going to make a suggestion. Why don't we take a brief recess now of 5 minutes? That gives you a chance. Actually, we'll make it until 6:10 p.m. And then if we need more time, we'll take it. That'll give you 8 minutes. And we'll see if we need more time. But that'll allow you to figure out how best to engage the people online. Thank you. We'll stand in a brief recess till 6:10 p.m.
Testing, testing. Yes, I can do it now.
and as soon as you're ready, we can start.
Mingye, when you are ready, please go ahead and start speaking.
Hi, I'm ready.
Okay, perfect. Why don't we just make sure she can see the clock and we can let her know. Okay, do you see the clock?
Yes, I can see the clock.
Okay, all right, go ahead and start as soon as you're ready.
Okay. Hi, my name is Maria Guo, and I'm the Cherry Crest family. First, Ardmore teachers, I truly admire what you were doing here for kids. I also ask that BSD please do not close Ardmore. I know there are financial burdens to consolidate the schools, and the BSD have tried for a lot of alternatives, and you also have a 90-day strict deadline. But what if the assumptions are wrong, the data are wrong? We need more time for the data to fully absorb the impact of those tech companies slowing down layoff, and more people will return to public schools. And our kids, those adorable 5 kids in the audience, they put their future in our hands. And we want to make informed decisions, but not rush decisions. And meanwhile, while we wait for the data to come down, and then have you tried running campaigns to increase awareness of this issue and enhance the enrollment in Ardmore and other schools? Because all the parents, teachers, and the PTSAs in other schools would very love to contribute if it happens. Okay, that backs to my question. I listened to the February 9 video, and I'm thankful for the efforts you put into the 85-page report. I have only one question on the report. In the report, that if unfortunately these things happen, the consolidation happen, some schools such as Cherry Crest and the Somerset will reach full capacity, while other schools will remain at a much lower capacity. If you turn to page 19, you will see these details. Many Ardmore teachers here also mentioned the benefit of class size on the education quality. So how do we make sure, my question is, how do we make sure the equity of the classroom size and the capacity are ensured across different schools in the report? Because I know that our community have much concerns about the 40 capacities impact on the teachers and the kids, such as class size will increase, the traffic increase, GSA resource constraint. So we want to see the decision-making process behind these numbers to be included in the page 19, as well as the feedbacks from the Cherry Crest teachers and parents. And the last sentence, I know I'm very privileged to ask this question because Ardmore is definitely facing a more severe challenge, but within our community, there are also parents that want their voices to be heard, and I'm here to speak for them. Thank you.
Okay, before we start with the next person, we have a problem with the chime because I think it's cutting off the speaker, and I'm not sure they're aware. So
Greg,
let's think of another way to
chime
let
off.
them know. Yeah.
Yep. And I will jump in to speak once folks have finished their sentence.
Okay.
So while Greg is okay, Greg has reset the chime, and our next speaker is going to be E, and it looks like she's already on camera. So go ahead and unmute yourself when you're ready.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Yu, and I have a son in pre-K and in first grade this year, and we love Ardmore. We absolutely love Ardmore. We live within walking distance, and I mean, I would say I fell in love with the school. Just going on walks with the boys when they were little. I just liked the building. I liked being able to walk there. And it's an amazing school. The teachers that we have had, Mrs. Elrod and Mrs. Maroulis, have just been amazing, and Mrs. Doliak. And the preschool teachers that we have had, it is a truly unique school. I come from a background of, I grew up in the Seattle School District in the 80s and 90s, and I was bused from from 1st to 12th grade. And in middle school and high school, I was bused in order to participate in the accelerated progress program. And I was bused for at least an hour each way. And I hated it. And it really made me mad that they were busing, that these schools did not have, it wasn't better for the neighborhood kids. The neighborhood kids couldn't get into Garfield. So it was a very, it just was not a great, it was not a great experience, except I had a great, I went to a great school. But I love that we have access to a amazing school in Ardmore in our neighborhood. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. I'm just going to say again, I think the chime, it needs to be fixed because we're losing words. So just want to make sure you guys know. Okay, we'll take our next speaker. Thanks.
Our next speaker is going to be Lisa Simons. And Lisa, I've given you the ability to turn on your microphone and camera, so please do so now.
Thank you so much. My name is Lisa Simons. I am a 5th grade teacher at Ardmore Elementary School. And I've been at Ardmore now for 5 years. And there's just a few thoughts I want to share. There's a lot of things that have been shared already that I don't think I need to reiterate. But I want you to remind you that the art of effective active listening means assume the person you are listening to knows something you don't. Our district leaders may be experts on budgeting, on numbers, HR items, all of those things. But with all due respect, personnel at the district offices are not the experts of what's happening in the schools and our school communities. They aren't the experts on how the uncertainty of what has been happening since the week before winter break. They have not seen how that has truly been affecting our students and our staff. Listen to your educators, listen to your parents. We are the ones on the front lines. We are the ones on the ground. I can say that I can't imagine being anywhere else. I've been in education for 16 years, both at other title schools and very affluent schools. And I can tell you right now, of all those schools, Ardmore, it's not a workplace. It's not a job. It's a family. It's a family where we trust each other. We listen in earnest. We agree to disagree, and we push each other to be better than we were the day before and become the best educators for our families that we can. The work that has happened over the last 5 years is because of our Ardmore family. And this family isn't just the certificated staff. It's the GSEs and paras that work closely with our students that are not out on the playground most of the day, but in the classrooms. It's our families who, even some with extremely limited resources, limited childcare, still eagerly joining in partnership and actively seeking ways that they can support their child and their child's educators. I ask you as the school board, to listen and assume that those who have spoken tonight, those who have spoken at other community forums may know something you don't, and know something that our district personnel may not know as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is going to be Elaine. And Elaine, I've enabled you to turn on your microphone and camera, so please do so now.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Elaine. I am a former GSA and a para this year, and this is my 6th year in Ardmore. I believe everyone in our family has shared how they feel, and I don't have to say too much about that because everything they said is true. From number one, this is the best job, if you want to put it as a job, for me ever. And second of all, when I think of we all went through the pandemic together, and all the meetings that we have, all the virtual meetings when we cannot see each other, all teachers, all the teams are trying their best to support our students. I think it is because of how strong our community is. and how much we care about our students, how much we want to support our teammates. And the reason I love coming into Ardmore every day. Okay, yes, I do have some tired morning that I don't want to get up, but guess what? I love coming in because this is my second family. I love that when we have students, when we have families in the building, we all can say hello and give them a big smile, because this is how strong our community is and how strong the bonding is between each other. And this is the biggest reason I love our community. Please don't break us up. If there's any changes, please try to make us better instead of just break us up or give up on us. I really hope you know how strong our community is, and we love staying with Ardmore, staying with the team, and let us help the community more. Thank you.
I'm just letting the people know online, we can hear you really well and you're all coming through well. I know you might wonder, but we all can hear you, so thank you.
Okay, our next speaker, Muntaha, and please correct me if I'm pronouncing anyone's name incorrectly, but please go ahead and turn on your microphone and camera.
Hi, my name is Mataha Shafi, and I am a GSA at Ardmore. I was welcomed to Ardmore with open arms, and I love working at the school. I see now that it has grown to a bigger, diverse community, and I just love seeing that around. The school is helping the community because it's so close by, and we are doing our very best to support the community and everyone around us. The kids, they live around the community, so I don't see why it's like, why would we move the kids somewhere far away when they're right next to us? You know, the school is a very good school. The staff is very good staff support team, and I just love it. Every day I come in with a smile on my face, and I have never been happier to work anywhere else, you know? So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and Becca, I am clicking the button to allow you to turn on your microphone and camera right now, so please go ahead.
Okay. Hi, my name is Becca Anardi, and I have 2 students at Sherwood and 1 at Highland Elementary. I was having dinner with my father-in-law last night, who has been following this in the news, and him and I had not had a discussion about what's happening in Bellevue before last night. And he asked me a great question. He said, "Are you surprised by this?" And you know what? I absolutely am surprised by this. We work so hard at Sherwood Forest to do things with equity in mind. And so I just assumed that was from the top down. I assumed that the district made the same decisions with equity in mind first. And it's apparent that that is not what is going on here. I am very surprised by this, to be honest. And my father-in-law was really surprised as well. He said, from everything I've known of Bellevue, he lives in a suburb 45 minutes from here. He couldn't believe that Bellevue was acting this way and not taking equity into account at all. And it's a good point for all of us to realize that other people are watching. Parents with kids in private schools in Bellevue are watching this. They're not speaking out, but they're watching to see if the board is going to hold the district accountable or not. And that will have a decision or an impact on their decision of whether they keep their students in private school or whether they send their kids back to public school. So other people are watching what the board is doing right now. And I hope you hold the district accountable. And my last point is, this decision will impact BSD for a few years, right? These students, it will impact for the rest of their lives. So what are you doing for these students? What is best for them? Who is going to bear the brunt of these decisions? And that needs to be the people that is first and foremost in your mind. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one more online hand raised, and that person has the screen name of residence. Please go ahead and turn on your microphone and also your camera if you wish.
Hi, this is Sean. I'm a resident of Bellevue School District. I'm wondering why this kind of information is not widely spread, because I got this meeting notice from my wife this morning, and I was shocked by such a decision from BSD to close 3 schools in a, let's say, financial well-supported community. I moved to US 20 years ago from China. Back in China, we only create more schools. Some are called hope schools, with fundings from the communities, from different families, with the donations. To close a school, this will be a disaster, even in a third world country. In US, one of the greatest country in the world, in Bellevue City, one of top financial status city, to close 3 schools. I don't think this is justified. At least before alternatives are researched or reviewed or tried. Why everybody, or Mr. Harvis, or the school board, why everybody is in that rush? Let me read out Governor Inslee's, right? The budget proposal for 2020 to 2023 has supported all students' tuition and the related cost, including emotional health, so on and so forth. And this year, the governor has proposed spending an additional $3 billion in K-12 investment to support educator compensation, special education, educator workforce initiatives. The budget is increasing, right?
We are at time, so if you could finish your thoughts.
Okay, I will just finish quickly. Senior Communications Associate for the Governor, Jim Koprovier, said it is safe to say that state funding is no catalyst to consolidation. State investments in K-12 are increasing, not decreasing. Hopefully, this message will change the school board's decision. And above all, the quality of the schools and the education is the most important. People or enrollment will increase. You cannot deprive of
Thank you for your comments. We're at time now, so thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We have 3 more in-person speakers. So I'll go ahead and call up our additional 3 in-person speakers in whichever order they would like to speak, Rena and Kaylin and Morgan. Are you still with us?
Yeah, let's make sure your microphone's on. So we'll start your time over. Don't worry. And then we're just going to highlight her name. I think I heard Colin Taylor. Is that right?
Kaylin.
Kaylin, sorry. Okay, we'll just make sure your name is highlighted before you start. So we highlight her name. Great. Go ahead and start again.
I went to Ardmore for 6 years, and it might have been the best 6 years of my life. It really was really fun, and I don't like hearing about all this news about closing the school and having to go through all the stress and seeing my sister and her friends going through all the stress about going to this, trying to decide if they're going to go to another school without friends or with friends. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Renna Fuller. Like Kaylin, I went to Ardmore for 6 years. I am in middle school now, but I loved elementary. I made important bonds with my teachers, friends, classmates, and the staff around the school. I don't want Ardmore to close. It's important. We have a big community there. I was not planning to speak today, so I don't have much to say, but please don't close Ardmore. It's not just a school, it's a family. Thank you. Taylor, and I've been here in elementary in Ardmore for 5 years, and I made friends ever since I got here. And if I wasn't at Ardmore, I wouldn't have made the friends I had to support me. And I just love Ardmore. And I don't think Ardmore deserves to be shut down because Ardmore helped me a lot with the stuff that I have to learn. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you so much. I want to give one more chance to the folks online. If you will raise your hand to speak, I'd like to make sure that anyone who wants to do that is able to do that. And same goes for anyone in the room. If anyone's been shy so far and wants to speak, please let me know. Folks online can't see this, but it looks like our TV screen in the room has just unexpectedly shut down. So we are, while we're solving that technical issue, please know that you have the chance to raise your hand if you wish to comment.
I'm going to say from here, this is our last sort of invocation. If anybody in the room who hasn't spoken would like to speak, please come forward, let us know. And we're going to make that request online too. We're going to ask 2 more times. We hear the chimes, but that's not relevant at the moment. Is there anybody who would like to speak, who's not spoken yet, who would like to talk about Ardmore? Okay, we're going to ask online too, one more time. I don't know if you want to put it in the chat, Ms. Worth. Okay, please. Yeah, if you've already spoken based on our rules, we have a notice and we need to have like a way to do it. Or if you haven't spoken, go ahead and come forward to Ms. Worth, and she's the person right over there, and we'll take your name and we'll happy to hear you. So no worries. And Ms. Worth, can we also just make sure we've put it in the chat as well? Just wait 1 second so we make sure you're okay. So we see Becky Taylor. Is that correct? Or do we have that not quite right?
IE.
Okay, so BECKIE.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. All right, so we'll wait till we see the clock.
My name is Becky Taylor. And you heard from my 2 kids.
this is just very emotional for me. I really love Ardmore, and the teachers and the staff have been wonderful. We've been at Ardmore since 2015, and after going through COVID, and that was really rough on all the kids, and these teachers were so amazing and really kept the community together. And I know my kids were my daughter Morgan was really looking forward to going back to school and being with her friends and her teachers after that. And this is like the first year that we've had like a real school year, and for this to come up, it just seems so unfair to do this to our children. I just really hope that you change your mind, and please don't close Ardmore. Please don't close Ardmore. Thank you.
Do we have Adam Diba ready?
Yes, sorry. I thought that I was not going to speak.
Would you like to come to the front so we can see you? Do you
I'm
prefer-
fine here.
Okay, all right, we can hear you.
Yeah, so I was just doing my normal thing that I do, working as a union organizer, but I couldn't lay down when someone called me and said they're doing something about Ardmore. I've been in the Bellevue School District, like I always said to people, for almost 23, 24 years. My sister came with 5 kids, all at Ardmore. They have to move to Puyallup. I think the decision to close these schools are just still fresh and very painful for me to even adapt or to understand, especially when it comes to Ardmore. Because the conversations, I think, are happening, and I know the reality of why you guys said that you want to close the schools, and we got it. But I'm challenging you guys again to open the doors wide and let the people in who have the voices that you want to hear from, rather than just having few folks. If you look at the room today and look at the people who are in the school, if you walk in the ground of Ardmore, you know that all of those people, most of them are immigrants. And that school is their love. And which anyone in this room has supported them. I'm here again to offer each and every one of you what we can to come to our conversation. I've been having conversation with families because they are not able to make it here. But it's hurting me. It's breaking me down because I wanted to see those kids grow up here just like my kids have, all graduated from Stevenson, Odell to Interlake. And also, I've been a parent who has been giving back, volunteering for a very long, long time. So please think twice for what you're doing to these kids, because it's really, really important. And families are hurting.
Please go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. Can we highlight the speaker's name? We will get you going in just a second. Thank you. I think we just need the clock set, please, at 2 minutes. Thank you. We're ready. Thanks so much.
Thank you. So my name's Mariko. I have 3 kids. My oldest has graduated from Ardmore. My younger 2, kindergarten and 2nd grade. And I guess I should start with, when we were first looking for our home in Bellevue, we did not consider Ardmore because the school
rating was so low. And we ultimately found our home. We fell in love with it. We fell in love with the neighborhood. And I'm so glad that we went to Ardmore. Even though after we moved in, our neighbors told us not to, even though my parents offered to pay for private school because they didn't want their grandkids to go to a school that was rated so poorly, even though I had other neighbors and colleagues who said, you know, there's test prep available so your kids can test out into the advanced learner program. We stayed at Ardmore. Our kids are thriving. We love the community, but I hate that this school district, it's not just Bellevue, it's nationwide, but these choice programs that separate children from their neighborhood school, that create a private school within a public school system, it is wrong and it is not serving your community. I don't know that you're going to really take this into consideration and not close schools, but I hope that whatever you do moving forward, you make the environment at each school the same. You know, these programs should be at every single school, because if you don't and you just keep moving forward with the way that it has been, we're going to be here in, you know, another 5-10 years where the schools with the poor ratings are continuing to have low enrollment, and the schools that have advanced learning or choice programs are going to be exceeding capacity. It's so obvious that this is wrong. I'm sorry, I didn't actually prepare, so I don't have an eloquent way to end. But thank you, and thank you for adding on extra time, because I'm so nervous to come up here and share that, but I just really wanted you to hear it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up online, I have Nora. Nora, please unmute yourself and turn on your camera.
Hi, this is actually Michelle, her mother, but in order to get in, I had to pretend to be her to make it past the gateway. My daughter is a 3rd grader at Bennett. And I have 2 things I just wanted to raise in front of the board to help share. I mean, we will welcome any kids from Ardmore and make them feel welcome. But my questions have to do with the timing of this. These 3rd graders have not had a school year yet that was not impacted by COVID. Maybe this year is one, I don't know. I mean, for my daughter, this is her third or 4 years with a teacher getting pregnant, leaving mid-year. So she has not had a school year yet that was not impacted and not just normal. In regards to timing, in 2 years, the kids that are currently in 3rd grade, where their parents transferred them to private school, they'll be hitting middle school, and that's one of the thresholds for them to come back into the public school system. Kids that are currently in 7th grade at about that same time hit the same one for high school. So please consider when you may see an influx of students from that. My other thing is, just as an analyst and project manager, I have to ruefully laugh at the fact that the Medina is excluded from the options because those people have options, and we're putting the pressure on absorbing the costs of all this to the people who don't have options, for the people that need public buses, need food systems, need the support systems in their schools. We're making it harder for them to get to it if the school is not in their backyard. So take a second look, think about timing, and thank you.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to start just ask again, just in case there's anybody who wanted to speak, because once we end our hearing, we end our hearing. So I'm going to ask again, is there anybody in the room or in the virtual room who would like to speak on the topic of Ardmore consolidation, who has not already spoken? Ms. Worth, is there somebody raising their hand online? Okay. So I will say, is there somebody in the audience who's not spoken who would like to speak? Yeah, I'm sorry, we have a set of rules that we have published, and we do need to follow them. So we have one speaking opportunity per person, and that's what we do need to commit to. So if everybody who wished to speak in person has had a chance to speak, and everyone online who wished to speak has had a chance to speak, then I will say essentially, with a 30-second pause, we will end our hearing. So just going to give you 30 seconds to think about whether you wish to speak on the topic of Ardmore consolidation. And we'll just wait 30 seconds. Have you not spoken? Would you like to speak? Sure, come on up. Can you go check with Ms. Worth? She'll take your name, just the woman over there. Just so we do for you what we did to everybody else. We'll just have you give your name. Ms. Worth, I think I see a hand up online if you want to check with that person. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, but just wait 1 second so we can see your name. Does that look correct? Susan Sue?
Yes.
Okay. All right, go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, everybody. I didn't prepare, so I just want to say 2 sentences. Okay. For as a 14 years, I worked as a teacher. The closure of a school is always a heartbreaking experience for educators like myself and all the teachers here and staffs here. I can sense their desperations. And as a mother of the BSD student for 8 years, I can also sense depression for parents, for every parent to see their children's schools close. So I ask to slow down this consolidation for every educators, every kids, every mother, every parents. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Okay, online I have Kathy, and Kathy, I've clicked the buttons to let you turn on your mic and camera, so you can do that now, please.
And can we highlight her name just so we're clear on who's speaking? Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Kathy, we can hear you and we see you too. So go ahead and start. Let's reset it. We'll go ahead and reset the clock. Go ahead and start as soon as you're ready.
I live in the Ardmore zone, and my daughter was attending Ardmore before COVID came, and we had an extremely bad experience with Ardmore. And when the pandemic came, the online education offered by Ardmore was not the same as other public schools. And then at the end of that year, I pulled her out of the public education, and she went to private school for a couple of years. This past year, we returned to the public school district, but I will not ever send my child back to Ardmore. It was such a bad experience. I believe that it's right to consolidate Ardmore with Sherwood Forest because their test scores are very comparable, so it makes sense. And finally, I would like to say one thing. A lot of parents will not return to public school system because of some of the divisive courses that are being taught, the woke stuff, the gender stuff. It's just, I feel it doesn't belong in the public school system. And one last request. I know some people want the same courses taught to all children in all schools. I don't think that's practical because, especially given the pandemic, there's such a large range of knowledge base now that we have amongst the children. And I think it's important to continue to offer advanced learning to the students who qualify to pass the test, best of the best. Please continue to offer advanced learning courses to those children. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Worth, thank you. Is there anybody else online or in person?
No.
Okay, so at this time we say going once, going twice, going 3 times. We thank all of you for attending the hearing in person or online. And at this time, our hearing is adjourned. Thank you.